Check that out one more time with another different example. We have 44 times 3.1. Now 44 has no decimal points, but that doesn't matter because remember we do not need to line up our decimal point. So then we have 3.1. So I'm just going to line up my numbers. I'm going to make sure my 3's underneath, make sure my 1's underneath, and then I'm just going to put my decimal point where it needs to go. I don't have to worry about lining it up with anything. Good. Now I can just simply multiply. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 4 again is 4. Okay, now we're finished with our first row. 1 went to this 4, it went to that 4. We're finished in this area, so we must add our 0 down below to hold in place, and then we can move on to our 3. So we're going to do 3 times 4 and then 3 times this 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Put my 2 down below and carry my 1. And then 3 times 4 again, which I just said was 12, but this time we have a plus 1. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13. My whole 13 is going to go over here. Okay, now we've quickly finished with our multiplication, and we're going to find the next part of our answer with our addition. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 plus 3 is, 3 plus 0 is 3, and 1 plus 0 is 1. So, let me just fix my answer here. 1, 3, 6, 4. Remember, we're not finished because we have a decimal point. We need to count how many decimal places our problem has in order to put our decimal in our final answer. So, in my problem, 44, there are no numbers behind my decimal point. I don't need to count anything. 3.1, there is one number behind my decimal point. Circle it. It always helps me. So I have one decimal here, so I need to move my decimal point and place it 1 in here. So it starts here. I'm going to move over 1 time and place it right here. So then my final answer I can see is 136.4. Okay. Let's talk about some things to remember. Make sure to count the number of places behind the decimal point in both of the numbers in your problem. Okay, so let's take a look at these examples. If I'm counting the decimal places in this problem here, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. Remember, I counted the numbers behind the decimal here and the number behind the decimal here. So in my answer, I would move my decimal point 1, 2, 3 times. Let's take a look at our next one. I have 2.5. That's one place behind the decimal. Then I just have regular 3. So I don't have any numbers behind my decimal point. So I'm only going to circle the 1, 5. And I would only have to move my decimal 1 time. Same thing with my next one. I have 66, no decimal point, so no numbers behind the decimal. And then I have 2.3. So that 3 is behind the decimal point. I'm going to circle it. So in my final answer, I would move my decimal point 1 place. Another thing to remember is you do not have to line up the decimal, just the numbers. Okay, so let's look at examples here. I have 44.25 times 1.6. If I want to set this up, I put my 44.25, and then I put my 1.6, and I line it up just like this because I want the numbers to be lined up. I'm not concerned about my decimal point. So this is how this would look. Okay, So my 6 is underneath my 5, my 2 is underneath my 1, 4 and 4. Don't add any zeros. I'm ready to go. Here we go again, 2.5. I'm not concerned about my decimal point. I'm just lining up my numbers. So I simply just I just stack it up like that. 2.5 times 3. Same thing with my last one here. 66 times 2.3. Not worried about my decimal point, just lining up my numbers. I'd have my 2 and my 3 just like that. Okay? Also, when I'm placing my decimal point, it's very important that you start from the right and you move towards the left. You start here and you move this way. So your decimal point starts over here. If I had to move it one place, I would start over here and I'd go 1 and I'd place it right here. Okay? If I had to move it 2 places, I would go 1, 2 and place it right here. Okay? If I had to move it 3 places, I would go 1, 2, 3 and place it right here. You always, always, always start from this side. Start from this side. Start from this side. You start from the right and you move it to the left. Always move to the left. And this is always your last step when multiplying with decimals. Okay, your last task in this video is to look at these steps and write them down for multiplying with decimals. Okay, it's very important that you remember these steps. Number 1, line up the numbers, not the decimals. Number 2, follow the regular steps for multiplication. Number 3, when you are finished adding, count how many spaces there are behind the decimal. Okay, this tells you where to place your decimal point. And number 4, starting from the right, in your answer, count that many spaces to place your decimal. Okay, so starting from the right, in your answer, move to the left and count that many spaces to place the decimal. So like I said before, if I had 4 decimal spaces in my problem, I would start at the right and I would move my decimal point 4 places to find out where it needs to go. So again, you are writing these steps down for your notes. This finishes multiplication video 3.